Come on, let's get it. It's Juan Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving your perspective on teamwork, which you will not get anywhere else. We do not teach you how to rise to the occasion. We teach you how to fall to your level of preparation. Make your move Monday. Kickoff question, baby. Another Monday, I believe, we're second Monday in the month of September 2025. Fourth quarter of the new year, believe it or not. 2026 is going to be here within the blink of an eye. And this is the time right now, the weeks right now, you got to start putting stuff together to where you're hitting 2026 with a bang. All right. With a bang. You absolutely have to be doing that. I myself am in the process of restructuring some things. If you saw the live stream yesterday, you see I'm in the process of restructuring things and making sure my content is getting into the right viewership, getting to the right viewers, not necessarily getting more views, but getting to the right viewers. There's a difference, all right? Which, in fact, I might have to, just saying that, I might have to dive into a full week's long topic of that. As far as today's Move Swiftly thought and Make Your Move kickoff question and the introduction to the theme throughout the week, we're talking about investing in you. Do you invest in you? Do you invest in you? All right. There's a ton of things that went on the past week. All right. From going to Key Largo and visiting Jimmy Johnson's place while I'm watching a Miami Hurricane game, taking on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the owner's place, and just seeing how his coaching career, how he invested in the things that he wanted to do, and how that is thriving. I'm going to walk you through that experience. And also, there was an incredible breakfast that I went to, the Chamber of Commerce for West Palm Beach, which just being in the room and putting on a suit and tie and getting some clarity in terms of my network and my community of people and the people that I need to be associated with on the long-term basis. All of that led to today's and led to this week's topic when it comes to, do you invest in you? And for those of you who are new around here, this is how this works. I pose a question and then I answer it myself. So my question is, hey, do you invest in you? So for me personally, yes, I absolutely do. However, I'm not perfect at it, all right? And that's why we have these conversations. That's why I put out the work, I put out the material I put out, because what I did last year to invest in me may not work this year, right? Then we're going to walk you through some of the things that you have to be constantly upgrading your life and upgrading in a way in which you see your future. You have your long-term plans, your long-term goals. You have to have that professionally intact, because if you don't have it professionally intact, when you start letting people into your personal life and letting people into your personal endeavors, it just gets distracted, and it's natural. It happens, all right? So the goal is, and the point of today's discussion, or all week's long discussion, is making sure you're making investments in yourself as you go along. You're making investments in yourself that's going to allow you to give you the flexibility, the freedom to compromise with folks in a way, again, compromise with the folks that come into your life from a personal perspective or professional perspective, however it is, to make compromise and get a lot of great deals done. So you and another person, or whether it's business, professional, romantic, whatever it is, there's a way of moving forward that's going to be a win-win situation. And a lot of times it means saying no to certain things that you would have said yes to a year ago. All that kind of stuff we'll dive into. All right. So just to recap, today's Make Your Move kickoff question is, do you invest in you? Do you invest in you? To dive deeper into all my work, main website to check out is makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. As Juan Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. If you guys continue to move swiftly, we will talk more soon.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Oh, yes, of course, you got to add me to the stage. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Happy Make Your Move Monday. Happy Make Your Move Monday. Kickoff question again, like you just heard. If you're new around here, I am As One Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon to be 6-time published author and educator. That soon came from the fact that there's a lot of things turning in the direction of book number 6 being here, sort of in the say November-ish months, and as we get ready for pre-orders. The pre-order should be ready as we get to the holiday season towards the end of November and to the December months. We are here. Again, when it comes to the location of the where I do my recordings now, we're still working that out. I can do it pretty much anywhere, but just know there's going to be a detailed explanation as to why you've been seeing me all over the place doing the recordings, not where I normally am at the place in which I teach at. There's a conversation to be had before I can let you fully in on why that is the case. Just know I'm going to continuously, no matter what type of roadblock people put in front of me, no matter what type of struggles, no matter what it is people try to do, I will always figure it out. That is part of being a Crookshank. That is part of being a Caribbean man. That's part of just being who I am, part of being a former football player, part of, what the game of football teaches me. And especially this time of year when you see teams, men coming together, figuring out how to win games. I approached my life with that mentality. All right. So saying all that, let me just again further introduce you guys. I created this whole brand. It's called Move Swiftly. It's all about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and applying them to businesses and business owners so they have a staff and a group of employees or a group of employees that moves as cohesively, has the same mindset, has the same structure, has the same passion, has the same goals, has the same everything as a championship high school or youth football team. Preference it by saying championship high school or youth football team, because that is the mentality. Like when you play at those levels, there's not a hidden agenda. There's real passion for your community. You're playing in front of your family and friends and things like that, and you really are doing it because you love it. When you get to the college and the pro ranks, it's really going to be based on finances and what's the best situation for you. Then when that gets involved, a lot of things start to just, really dilute what the game is all about. So what I teach, what we teach over here in the Move Swiftly world, is how to take the same passion that you will see from championship and high school youth football teams and bring it to you guys as business owners, so you have that staff that has that mentality. All right. So all that being said, before we get into the make your move kickoff question of the week, or make your move kickoff question of the day and this week's theme, let me just get through a couple of announcements here, and then we will go from there. First and foremost, if you have not yet, go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. That is freeguide.makeyourmove.com. I created a very, very easy to understand process. We work from a very, very simple formula here. It's simple, but it's not easy. All right. There's a difference in that. It's simple, but it is not easy. It is establishing measurables, number one, creating a professional business, number two, and allowing those two things, a solid mix of those two things, to create the productive environment in which you need in your organization. Without that productive environment, you got a big problem, right? Because people get in these work relationships, and it becomes very unprofessional, the way they talk to each other, the way they treat each other, the way things are getting done, and just the overall decision-making process becomes very, very unprofessional. And when you do that, when you get to a place where you get so unprofessional with people, then your business will suffer, your profits will suffer, the sales will suffer, your production will suffer. So what we do here is we make sure we establish a situation in which your measurables are being measured, right? You're measuring the measurables, and there's a professional distance that's created in order to hit those measurables, allowing that combination, that connection, to become the reason for the productive environment. That's how this whole thing works. That's how the whole Move Swiftly program and the whole Move Swiftly business works. It's measurables, professional distance, productive environment, in that order. Again, it's a 10-step process. freeguide.makeyourmove.com. You can book a meeting with me as well, so we can dive deeper into all of that. And finally, next thing, if you are like our favorite people, not mine, but our favorite people to work with around here, are the folks that say, I don't want to hear about anything free. I love your passion, Aswan. I love your way you grind. I love the work you do. I love all the things that I already see about you on the internet. And I want you to take your mindset and teach my staff. I want to pay you to teach my staff how to do that. We have something specifically for you. We're made for you. We're building out our systems to only focus on folks like you. All right. It is makeyourmove.com. That's makeymove.com. You can click the shop now button. You can purchase a few copies of my book. Right now, it's only the 5, but again, number 6, How to Be a Entrepreneur, will be coming very soon. Details about how my workshops roll and how we do that. And just simply if you want to do more research on what you get out of the process, simply hit the tab that says Innovative Teamwork. Innovative teamwork is your business problem solver. Turn your business into a championship team. It is common knowledge that the best way to win in business or in life is by avoiding ways to lose. Whether you've just started a new business or you've been in business for quite some time, there's no getting around the need to hire or outsource certain elements of your organization so things can run as efficiently as possible. When you book your meeting with Aswan, he'll diagnose what the issues are with your current system and then strategically create a system in which will lead to a reduced amount of turnover or a clear understanding of the parts of your business that need to be outsourced. All right, let's get into today's article and what it is we are going to be discussing. Let me just pull it up on the screen real quick here. And all right, do you invest in you? And yes, like I just mentioned in today's Move Swiftly Thought, we are fourth quarter, right? Fourth quarter. One of the reasons that the football season is so special is because of the business that it represents, right? The commodity that represents, but also when you think about it from a business perspective, strictly a business perspective, not even in the sense of winning game. Forgive me for sounding a little congested. I'm dealing with a little bit of a sniffle here, but I'm still going to do what I got to do. For when it comes to the season and first of all, the popularity of the sport, right? The sport of football is incredibly popular. But when you're talking about the timing of the sport, now you're talking about fall and just a few months throughout the season, then there's going to be a new year. And again, we're here in September. We only got 4 more months, and then boom, just like that, 2026 is right here upon us. The goal and the mission and the mindset that you need to be taking is, I don't want to wait till December, right? I don't want to wait till we get a week away from January 2026 to start making plans, to start putting investments, start putting things in place that by the time I'm in December, I don't have to have New Year's resolutions. I can have goals, attainable goals, because I already started with how I'm going to put certain things aside. So as January gets here, as it steadily creeps in, I've already made and created opportunities for myself. Now, for me, there we go, brighten up the screen here. For me, I have made tons of investments in in the space of being a podcaster, being a thought leader, me being someone that wants to be a play-by-play college football announcer at some point, a commentator, want to run my own show when it comes to all my employee development works, want to serve you guys, serve you business owners in the employee development workshops and all the stuff. That's what I'm all about. There's investments I made last year that have paid out this year, and investments in things that I did last year that made sense to do last year, but now it wouldn't make sense to do this year, right? There's a certain element, there's certain timing for these investments. So this week, let me just real quick tell you what led me to writing this article. This past week, it was from Labor Day, from Labor Day all the way to even up to just this past Saturday night. There was just a ton of things that I had done previously that were starting to the fruit was starting to bear, right? The labor and the things that I was doing, it just started making sense. First, it started off with a trip to Key Largo. I'll talk a little bit more about that on Entrepreneur Wednesday when I feature Coach Jimmy Johnson. It was a fantastic experience to know former college football player, college football coach, and NFL coach, Super Bowl winning coach, someone that comes from the world that I represent, the football world, went and opened up a restaurant in Key Largo, and it's doing, at least from what I experienced, it was a great experience, doing well and all that kind of stuff. And to be able to watch that, to be able to watch the Hurricane versus the Notre Dame Fighting Irish football game at that restaurant while Coach Jimmy Johnson was at the game, pumping up the crowd and all that, I'm telling you, it was one hell of a time. It was a blast to actually be able to do that. So that started it, but then that went this past Thursday, September 4th, I went to a dinner with, a breakfast at the Chamber of Commerce for West Palm Beach. And even that was something enjoyable. And all of that, just the experience and meeting new people and just doing these things, again, getting something out of like going out and actually living and introducing yourself and meeting people and actually getting somewhere, that that led me to a real question that I made sure I asked myself as we get into this last quarter, and it made me pose a question to you guys as listeners: is do you invest in you, and how do we go about doing it? So we're going to get into all that. Let's start with today's article. All right, so Make Your Move Monday. Do you invest in you? Well, oh man, was he not killing it? Let's just look at the suit real quick before I go any further. Let me just look at the suit. Let me describe that picture for you, because it was at the Breakers. All right, so the Breakers. I'm gonna look it up for you. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I gotta look this up for you guys. The Breakers. The Breakers is one of those places that, if you're a resident of West Palm Beach, and if you've been around Palm Beach for a while, the Breakers is one of those places where it's like, okay, I spent a night here, that means I have made it. the success and the smell of success about the Breakers. In fact, I'm gonna just look it up again. Just so you understand, founded on the island's 18-hour resort, has been one of the strongest routes ever since holding true. So yes, and we actually, so I do teach at a school named the Center for Creative Education. So we took the kids on a field trip to Flagler Museum, which was near the Breakers, right? So it was right there at the Breakers where I saw that view that you get when you walk outside the Breakers, and I'm like, it was such a beautiful view, right? Such a magnificent experience, just because, again, I don't normally dress up like that, but just doing it every once in a while because of this experience, because of everything that went on in this experience, I will be making it a point. Like, you can mark my words right now. I'll be making it a point to do something, go to some event at least once or twice a month, All right. Maybe it can grow into more, but once or twice a month where I'm required to wear a suit and a tie. All right, a full jacket, suit, and a tie. I'm going to make sure I do that at least once or twice a month going into. All right, let's get a moment. Show you guys exactly how I get down. So I have my own notepad, and I make sure I make notes. And I like to take notes to make sure I hold myself accountable with a lot of these things. So real quick, I'm going to write it down. One of my goals, make sure go to an event that requires suit and tie once or twice a month. Now, so what I do at the Center for Creative, I'm a sport and fitness director, so I don't necessarily need to be dressed up all, you can't, because you got to be running around, and providing I have a group fitness background, I have a background in fitness and athletics. So being dressed up and wearing a suit and tie and all that is not something that I do normally, but just the going to it and being a part of it, getting it nice. I mean, I FaceTime my mom right before I left the house and all that. It's like, yo, I like this feeling. You understand? I came from a world where I used to really care a lot about what I wear and how it works and all that. And then I ended up going to private school where everybody was wearing a uniform. And my mindset, just like the kind of time that I was saving in the mornings, not worrying about what my outfit was and all that, that has stuck with me. So it's something I'm kind of working back towards the latter, seeing that how good I look in that suit. So anyway, we're getting a little too off topic here. Let me get into the article. So welcome to the fourth quarter of 2025. Believe it or not, we're already in the fourth quarter of 2025. You guys heard me correctly. I said we're already in the fourth quarter of 2025. Blink once and we'll be ringing in 2026. The question you have to ask yourself is this: what are you doing now to prepare for the inevitable? What do I mean when I say the inevitable? The inevitable is it's coming. You don't get to stop time. You don't get to stop 2026 from coming. You don't get to say, oh man, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not with the person I want to be with. I'm not ready to get a year older, right? You don't get to stop it and say, oh man, it's just because I'm not ready, it's just going to stop. No, 2026 is absolutely inevitable. It's coming. And the question is, are you ready and are you preparing now for the inevitable? All right. On the Move Swiftly platform, our system remains consistent. Every Monday, we pose a kickoff question designed to both challenge your mindset and introduce the theme for the week. Today's question is a simple one, yet it hits deep. Do you invest in you? Why is that? Why this question? Why now? Here it is. And I started to mention it a little bit, but I'll read it directly from the article, which, by the way, again, if you're following me on medium.com, make sure you let me know, because the book number 6 is going to be the articles. Obviously I'm going to have my intro and certain process, not going to be directly, but it's going to be a lot of what I write about on medium.com is going to be in the hard book format. So to all my Medium followers, there will be some, discounts. There'll be a deal to be made in which you can get the book and, possibly some courses and possibly other merch items and things like that. That's how I'm going to structure it. This is why I'm telling you, this is why you heard me earlier today when I made my intro is, hey, soon to be 6-time published author, because I'm developing the book is already written pretty much, but I'm developing the marketing behind the book so there's a good audience and it's landing in the right hands. It's, again, book number 6 comes. I've obviously done this 5 times. I know at this point, hey, you need to find the right audience for the book before you even think about sending it to print and, coming up with a cover and all that kind of stuff. So just another sidebar here. All right. So why this question? Why now? This week's theme was sparked by a journey started nearly a year ago. I began building out a clearer identity for what this platform stands for, a premier destination for all things employee development. That is where I planted my flag about a year ago when it comes to this platform, when it comes to Move Swiftly. I wanted it to be the place, the premier place, the same way we just talked about the breakers and how it's the premier place for, Chamber of Commerce and business meetings and a lot of wealthy people who stay there overnight and all that kind of stuff. I want the Move Swiftly platform to be the premier destination that business owners of 20 or more employees say, hey, if I want to keep my employees, if I'm struggling with a system that's keeping people hired, keeping people motivated to come to work every day, I want the Move Swiftly platform to be their destination. That's what I started to implement about a year ago. All right. That's what I started implementing around this time a year ago. Okay. So as the vision sharpened, I started exploring membership. By the way, podcast listeners, I'm reading this directly from the article now. As that vision sharpened, I started exploring membership in local chambers of commerce, Palm Beach, Boca, and North Palm Beach. These are all areas I see as long-term community homes, and especially given my role as sport and fitness director at the Center for Creative Education and my recent promotion as site director for First Serve USA. I wrote a bit about First Serve USA in a previous Medium article. You guys can go look that up. It's called Teaching Teens to Be Confident, Not Cocky. All right. For the sake of time, I'll probably try to cut this around 30 minutes, but for the sake of time, I won't go back to that article. Just look it up because I did a live stream about it, and it's an actual written format, so you can get both if you'd like. And it was all about, because as the site director for First Serve USA, the main thing is working with high school mentors to mentor the younger kids. And because of my background as a high school football coach and trainer and all that, working with the teens, it brought out a memory, brought out a certain sense that if you're going to teach teens to be cocky, you have to be brutally honest with them. And that is just the key to a lot of what you'll see written in that article. All right. So from running high energy development, fitness-based classes for K through 5 students to mentoring high schoolers to become leaders for the next generation, my day-to-day work has been both intense and deeply fulfilling. But in that busyness, I never properly followed up with the chamber outreach until now. So basically what happened is, a year ago, I saw this Chamber of Commerce be something that can get me in front of more of my clients. Never really followed up with them because of all the things that I have going on when it comes to the school and working with other organizations, and just because I teach full time and all that. So okay, so how the opportunity found me. A few weeks ago, Sean Melton, who I work closely with at First Serve USA, invited me to attend a Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce breakfast. The event was hosted by none other than the Breakers Hotel. That Breakers Hotel, like I just showed you guys, right? So Sean's organization had a reserved table. No hesitation on my part. I accepted the invite immediately. The experience, incredible. I'll say it again nice and slow, just in case you missed it. For the people in the back, the experience, incredible. I was in a room with hundreds of wealthy, respected, and driven business leaders. And the best part, I fit right in. It reminded me of a moment not too long ago, Thanksgiving a few years back. I had just moved to Palm Beach. I knew no one. I spent the day with a friend who'd later become a guest on my podcast. We took a long walk on the beach outside the Breakers, talking about dreams and aspirations. Fast forward to now, we were both inside that hotel doing business and building futures. That's what happens when you consistently invest in you. So real quick, I want to break that story down a little further. So what happened was, it was actually a global vision. So it was a global vision conference when I first got out here to West Palm Beach that I was paid to be a vendor of. Yeah, I remember I paid to be actually a vendor at this Global Vision conference. And the person who ran it at the time, his name was Johnny, who too, he's been on the podcast as well. So Johnny had me actually speak. It wasn't like one of those events where the vendors aren't speaking and they're just sitting there, just there selling their stuff. No, the vendors actually spoke at the conference. So what happened was, I spoke at this conference. And by the way, the story in which I met Johnny was pretty cool too. It was at I was at a Barnes and Noble, and he was talking about a new book that he and the name is. It was a client of his, and her name is escaping me at the moment. It might hit me later, but she and him were talking about, what kind of book sale strategy that they were going to use or whatever it is. And it was at a Barnes and Noble. So I just happened to be sitting next to him because it was near a plug. So I hear them and I'm like, oh, well, what you doing? So we ended up connecting, and, he invited me out to speak at the Global Vision Conference. And then there was somebody else who was in, her name, Denise. Denise was also at that same Global Vision Conference. So me and Denise connected because she was looking to become an author herself. And then Denise ended up becoming a guest on my show. She wrote a book titled Hearing from God's Voice to Escaping a Mental Institution or something like that. Again, the title of her episode is on the podcast named Hearing God's Voice, right? So anyway, fast forward, that it was around that time, it was around Thanksgiving time when that happened. Again, I'm still kind of new to Palm Beach, and I didn't really know anyone out here. So she invited me to just hang out because it's the holiday, and we ended up like walking by the breakers, like near the beach part and all that kind of stuff. So this past week when I saw her at the breakfast, it was cool to see her, and it was like, yeah, we got to catch up and stuff like that. And when you make investments in yourself, you don't, again, these are the kinds of things that start happening because your face becomes recognizable. I've said it on multiple occasions. When you're talking about success, it's not about what you know, nor is it about who you know. Eventually, it starts to become about who knows you. All right. Who knows you? Who knows you? And why did they know you? How did you help them? How did you build with them? Those experiences are the things that last a lifetime. All right. So that's how that happened. And so again, as I close you guys out, I want you guys to understand how this works. I put a question out there, and then I answer the question myself with the goal and the aspiration that you're going to take my answer and apply it to your own lives and make it things better for yourself. So do I invest in me? Yes, I better. All right, this is me answering the question. Do I invest in me? Yes, I better. The chamber of breakfast was more than a networking opportunity. It was validation. It was ROI on years of grinding, content creation, outreach, trial and error, and community building. But here's the kicker. You don't need a fancy invitation or big title to begin investing in yourself. It starts with taking inventory of your current assets, staying consistent, saying yes to growth opportunities, showing up prepared, being intentional about your goals. As you guys know, around here, the last Monday of every single month, I put out my goals publicly. I see how I did last month in terms of my goals, all that stuff. So you got to be intentional about that stuff. And remember, small moves add up. All right. One podcast, one walk on the beach, one thoughtful post, one handshake, all investments, all seeds, and eventually a harvest comes. So this week, here's what to expect. We're going to go top 5 ways to invest in you, end game thinking, establishing regular income, learning to say no, following up, staying informed. And like I mentioned earlier, this week's Wintrepreneur feature is going to be all about Jimmy Johnson. Business owners, again, as I close you out, as we recap, it's all about this week. We're going to be discussing how to invest in you. And as a business owner, you now have a responsibility to invest in your staff and invest in the growth and development of them. And if don't invest in them, don't be surprised when it just blows up and they're not able to produce things for you, which is why, again, the main thing we do around here is employee development workshops. For more information on that, just simply go to makeyourmove.com. That is MakeYamove.com. One-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.